Today, we are going to be discussing this gentleman, Earl Sweatshirt. What his real name? I've never actually known how you say it. Tebe Kiga Cecily. That's such a fucking great name. Earl Sweatshirt released an album pretty recently called Live, Laugh, Love. There's your cover art right there with Earl looking mighty unk, I must say. Looks wonderful. Looks really happy. There's a bit of a cheekiness to the kind of presentation of the title and this cover art, and to an extent the music as well. I was going to record a review for this record, been enjoying it thoroughly since it released. I've had it on constant repeat, and I can very confidently say it is one of my favorite albums of the year. I love this thing. I decided to instead go through the whole Earl Sweatshirt catalog and do a little worst to best. I could see on Rate Your Music another Earl Sweatshirt project. I'd never even heard of this before, some mixtape just called Earl Sweatshirt. I don't know what this is. It came out in 2011 apparently, March 2011. I don't really know what's going on here. Modest Mouse are featured on this. I don't think I've got none of my friends have heard this. I don't know what's going on with this project. I'm gonna just go ahead and pretend it doesn't exist. All of these projects, plus the 2 EPs here. So how many are we dealing with? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 projects. Wow, I for some reason thought he had less individual releases for some reason. But yeah, there's your 9. Oh, I don't like shit. Some rap songs say Voir Dire, that's like say it, and then of love, and of course, okay. What is the worst Earl Sweatshirt release? I think that's pretty easy, giving this one to Earl. The first kind of major release, the first mixtape. You can't hear this on streaming, maybe due to, I don't know, sampling. I just re-listened to this morning. I bumped it down to 2.5 because yeah, I don't know, when we get to like this portion, it really starts to wane on you, like the production style. Definitely a interesting showcase of Earl's ear from a pretty young age. I think he recorded this when he was like 15 or 16. We were seeing like the kind of soundscaper that he is today peeking through a little bit. Like he's definitely able to concoct weirdly well packaged beats out of sounds that I just feel like you would never think should be in a hip hop beat. But Earl finds a way to make it work, make it sound very expressive. I think the beat on Couch is pretty sick. Some of these beats are insane. They're very distorted, very rugged, and yeah, a lot of the time they sound kinda ugly. The main problem with this thing has got to be Earl's presence as a vocalist, as a lyricist. He's good at rapping. When it comes to like the technical side of things, when you look at it that way, like he's pretty damn good for 15 years old. Look at this little Earl, bro. He definitely had moments where I was like, okay, he's really flowing. But when it came to the content of the tape, yeah, the sort of Odd Future edginess, it's really tough to sit through. Yeah, just very edgy, childish sort of language, and there's just a lot of that on the tape, and I'm not connecting with that as a 26-year-old, bro. It's extremely unlikable. And Earl Sweatshirt, if there's anything I can give him some respect and credit for, is that he's never been the most concerned with how likable his music comes off at all. I would say Doris, or maybe even Voir Dire, is the most like accessible or generally appealing, the easiest to kind of welcome in, I think, for the average person. Like those two, or maybe even Sick, actually, come to think of it. You look at Feet of Clay, you look at some rap songs, you look at the title of this album alone, and you're getting somebody who's pretty unconcerned with, being loved by everybody. That trait was very much alive back on this tape, but ultimately I don't think it translated to a really compelling or interesting body of work. I get the sort of rebellious, angsty nature of it, something I definitely would have thought was cool when I was younger, but right now there's nothing in me that makes me excited to hear this project. Don't really like it, don't really dislike it. 2.5. In 8th place, I'm gonna go with Voir Dire, which came out pretty recently. It's one of the newer releases. It's 2023, so just a couple years old. This one has a pretty interesting story. Apparently this was on YouTube for years. No one found it, under some completely random obscure alias. I don't know if this got released because someone found it. Had it released when it was made, maybe would have been more flattering for this thing, because this is coming out after we have seen Earl really dive into a pretty vivid idea of what his abstract vision of experimental hip-hop is, with some rap songs and Feet of Clay and Sick. By comparison, Voir Dire is a lot more sort of tame. Alchemist's beats on his sound cool. Mac Deuce is definitely my favorite instrumental. There are some pretty weak ones like Vin Scully. Earl isn't necessarily phoning it in on this project, but I can't say he's wowing me with his performance. Yeah, he sounds very comfortable on this record. There's I swear there's a 14-track version or something. There you go, 14 tracks. So that's what I'm talking about. There was a version, I think it was a sample full clearance thing. I've only ever heard the streaming version. The Vince verses are pretty good. Like, overall, it's a comfortable listen. It's nice. It doesn't do anything too unexpected. And I feel like with his other records, he really like built a world with each individual track contributing towards that. And I just don't really get that same experience with Voir Dire. It's more just kind of like Alchemist beats, Earl raps. It's nice. It's good. I like it. I'll have new favorite moments on every listen. Lyrics I didn't catch the last time, stuff like that. But my love for Earl, I think, predominantly comes in his ability to have everything connect into a really vulnerable, emotive whole. You know what I mean? And I think this collaboration kind of negated this album's ability to do that. Like, I can't say there's as much harmony between Earl and Alchemist as there is Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist on Alfredo, or the Boldy James Alchemist project. So 8 is going to be Voir Dire. I'm going to say Sick for number 7. Sick is a tough one. I really like it. I think it's really good. I just think the record is a little disconnected, but I don't think there's a single bad track on it. It's all really solid. It's got some of his best songs. 2010, bro. Unbelievable. Genuinely one of the best flows he's ever laid on a track, and the beat is just unbelievable. Ridiculous sample on that track. Titanic is fire too. Very bouncy track on here. I think he embraced like more conventional beat work. The flow of the record is just a little clunky. You know, we have these like really short tracks here lined up. You got these 2 4-minute beasts back to back. Each song kind of giving you a different shade of what Earl can do as a vocalist, as a figurehead on a track, which is cool. But again, the identity and the sound of Sick is pretty undefined compared to the other records. I really like the title track too. The distortion on the drums on this one sounds awesome. Has like a fed up tone. It's also worth mentioning this is a very reactionary album post-COVID. That's a big theme on a few of these tracks, and the title kind of, you know, also suggests that too. Earl's clearly sort of struggling to like shake that off on this album, which does give it like a pretty uniquely panicked and frantic tone as you hear it, I suppose. But I can't say I've ever like had a listen where I've just been like, yeah, I'm all over this. I love this album. I think it's amazing, blah, blah, blah. That's never really happened for me with this project, but I've always enjoyed it. So it gets a low spot on this ranking, but like with love. Number 6 is going to be Feet of Clay. Feet of Clay, I think, gets a bad rep. I don't know if it's as respected in his catalog as I would prefer. East, I think, is the most infamous song on this album, for better or worse. I think it's so good. I think East rocks. It has the capacity to bother you though, because the sample's ridiculous. What I love about Feet of Clay is that literally without fail, every single track on this project, they all sound like nothing else on the market. They are just completely baffling, anxiety-ridden, chaotic, abstract rap pieces that I just don't think anybody else could think of. And they all just sound crazy. Every single track sounds really glitchy, unstable. El Toro, Combo Meal, and 4N. They're a bit more like together and kind of how normal rap music sounds. Even they kind of have this just strangeness. The gap between Mac Homie's verse and Earl Sweatshirt's verse is like a minute, and the beat just plays, and it's just like structured really bizarrely. My mind just gets into a bit of a whirlwind with Feet of Clay. It's the most like sporadic and creatively explosive and like unboxable Earl Sweatshirt release. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of just whiplashes, lots of pockets that feel very uncomfortable. It makes me think of like a memory, like kind of a jumbled memory, or like a dream a lot of the time. It feels like my mind is getting into like this weird hazy state when I hear this, like Earl is maybe trying to cling on to something or trying to recreate something or stitch something together, but that's just like impossible when it comes to dreams or memories. Like nothing can ever be quite as vivid as you want it to be in that sort of state, and that's kind of the mindset I think Earl is channeling, or the tone, the feelings that Earl is channeling, and that's something very few albums, period, let alone hip-hop albums, strive to do. It occupies just a really unique space in the genre. So yeah, number 6 is Feet of Clay. Number 5, this is when it gets, oh hang on, what's going on here? Have I added one too many? There's 4 left. Yeah, there's 4 left. My fault. It's only 8. I counted wrong. We're down to the wire now. These 4 are all really good. Solace will go at 4. The other EP. Solace is 10 minutes long. It's the shortest one out of the lot. It's only available on YouTube as far as I know. Just some like hidden secret channel that Earl had, and this 10-minute exactly 10-minute EP I think was the first glimpse we ever saw of Earl really showing us what he's capable of as far as pushing his definition of just weird, intimate, isolated, introverted, kind of depressed, broken, disheveled hip-hop. That's sort of what I think of when I think of Earl as an artist. Like, he has this just very singular approach to these things. Solace was the first glimpse of any of that we really got, because this project is freaky. It sounds really freaky. It never really quite flows seamlessly. It's very purposefully sort of stitched together, kind of painfully. It's a really, really vivid an emotive listen. Only takes up 10 minutes. There's 3 verses, 3 pretty short verses across the whole 10 minutes, and the rest is just sort of loops, instrumental passages, samples. The description here says music from when I hit the bottom and found something, and you can definitely hear the bottom part of that. Yeah, this sounds like Earl is mentally at like a low point. He's talking about his grandmother passing at one point. He talks about his relationships with friends and his perception of himself, and the instrumental just sounds so fractured, broken. It sounds like something you could only come up with in a state of mind like this, and as a result it's a really shockingly vivid portrait of just being in like a mental like downward spiral. For 10 minutes to capture that, I think is very impressive. I feel like that's the sort of thing a full album would do well. Whenever I listen to Solace, I will leave with it still in my head. It lingers around, and that's I think a good example of the sort of power Earl managed to bottle into this 10-minute EP. So overall, 4th place of Solace. This is where it gets a little crazy. I think this is really tough. I gotta give it to the new one. Live, Laugh, Love is the 3rd best Earl Sweatshirt record. The new one it's tremendous. I'm really enjoying it. It's, to me, like a more positive spin on what he was doing on some rap songs. They're 2 sides of the same coin. The way this record flows and sounds is just like some rap songs. There is so much in common with this and some rap songs. Clearly in a better state of mind. And he's referencing albums he likes, artists he likes. He's shouting out people. He brings up Gene Dawson on one of the tracks. I think it was Static. There's a triumphant tone to a lot of the samples and the horns and the beats here. They're really, really like vividly bright. The beat on Forge is really cool. It sounds like a circus. The tracks will often stop and start and bring in weird little sound effects, and it really feels like Earl is playing around a bit more. Whereas with some rap songs, it sounded like you had to dig deep to sort of carve out those tracks, and here I think he's using those same tools to enjoy himself more. It's quite a whiplash when Static comes on. Live is like, he sounds really just like infatuated and lackadaisical at the end of it. Like the vocal recording gets really like brittle and distorted because he's just like really close to the microphone. Like he's playing around with the equipment and the medium as well as the production. Like all of it just feels like Earl is like sewing it all together really playfully, and then Static comes in with this really like mad delivery. That beat is sick. It sounds like this is it. Yeah, like we're marching ahead. Like there's just this victorious tone to it. My favorite track might be Exhaust. I think the beat is so beautiful on this one. I feel like the tone on these last few tracks is one of like assistance. Like I think he's trying to sort of use this music to bring people to where he's at, and I think Exhaust is the biggest example of that. It's like he clearly wants to see a happier world, a less horrible world, and I think he's trying to leave it on an optimistic note with these last few tracks. It's a lovely album. It's one I just keep coming back to. I can't stop playing. It's a really easy listen to. The tracks all flow so well. 24 minutes. I've noticed 24 minutes seems to be like his thing. Well, Voir Dire was 26, but some rap songs, 24 minutes. Sick, 24 minutes. It seems like his solo studio albums are just averaging 24 minutes. It's honestly a lovely amount of time for a record. He uses every second of that time really nicely. I think there's not a single track on here that isn't a delight to listen to. Crisco has an amazing beat too. The processing on the vocals and the beat of Crisco, there's such a determination to it. Like this is when Earl, I think, really as an artist becomes so clearly just one of the best in the game to me, is when you just feel every element of the track, from the flow, the sample choice, the runtime of each song, the way it all flows. It feels so meticulous. A lot of Earl's music at first listen is kind of jarring or hard to take in, or it might sound kind of, warbled or mixed a little weird. But I think with the repeated listen, you sort of understand just the emotional center of each thing he's doing. Every listen of this thing, I'm noticing or respecting a decision that has been made on one of these tracks, and how much it like adds to the greater whole of it all. It's a great record, man. Second place is gonna have to be I Don't Like Shit. It's tough because I do honestly think with time it's very possible that Live, Laugh, Love will overtake I Don't Like Shit. I could see that happening just because of how much I love the sort of some rap songs, like that sound is my favorite shit. But I've got quite a history with this record. This record released in 2015. I remember listening to it on release day when I was 15 years old, and it was shortly after To Pimp a Butterfly had come out. I remember this was like just after, and I just didn't know what to think of it. I was so like interested in it, but I was so confused by it. I vividly remember how I took it when I first listened to this record. I remember exactly where I was at my grandparents' house. I was really tuned into it. I didn't really grow to enjoy it until like a while after it came out. I want to say 2016, 17, like a year or two. Somewhere in that realm, I kind of realized that I actually love listening to this record, man. I know a lot of these songs off the top of my head, actually. The first 3 tracks, Off Top, DNA, maybe even Inside, I reckon I could rap those word for word. But in Hand in the Gates, who was jumping like fucking like quicksand in my ways. Always stuck and I stuck it into the ambulance came. It's in there. I reckon it's in there. I hit play on it. I reckon it'll just flow out. I've come to know every like measure of this album. I've heard it so many times, and its novelty or its interest, its magic, none of that has been lost whatsoever. Every time I hear it, it just sticks out how one of a kind this record really is. But one thing I do actually praise the record for is its accessibility. These beats, they hit really well. They have really nice rhythms. I feel like on some rap songs and beyond, Earl started to abandon the kind of conventions or tropes of hip-hop production. Oh, I forgot Doris. Fucking hell. I'm such an idiot. I didn't write down the whole video. I bet people were like, what are you doing? Where's Doris? Doris is here. Doris is right here. I just completely skipped over his debut album, Doris. I love Doris. Pre is one of my favorite freaking rap songs ever. Pre's crazy. And the Vince Staples verse on Hive, legendary, man. Such an amazing like attitude from Vince on that verse. I feel like such an idiot. I need to put some text on screen to let people know that I will realize later in the video, so that you don't spend the whole video like anxious. But yeah, anyway, the snare drum on Grief, insane. The distorted like crashing kick on Off Top, ridiculous. So many little nuggets of production that I just find so interesting. The guitar on Force It, I don't know how it's like made to sound that way. It just sounds so like small and gentle and like delicate. Wall is my personal favorite Vince Earl collab. I think the beat is really bizarre. It has this really bright, high-pitched piano, which feels super alien for an Earl Sweatshirt track. But Vince and Earl, the flows they choose are way more like amped up than I'm used to for either of them. It feels like a really distinct moment. Like this song feels like something that will just never happen again. Just the way they performed, the beat they chose. This song could have only happened on that day when they recorded it. Something about the track just... Is this the most streamed song as well? Oh, it is. That's crazy. Doris. I feel so bad for skipping over Doris. I wanted to say as well, I really like the Mac Miller verse with the vocal effects. Really, really eerie beat on that song. It sounds like you're being like scanned. It sounds like some machine is like scanning you. That's how the beat feels. Probably his most accessible project, but even then it is a bizarre, filthy sounding record. It quite often does reject like norms. That's just sort of the Earl Sweatshirt way, signaling his future career very subtly. You know, him being a part of Odd Future with Tyler the Creator, Frank Ocean. A lot of the members of Odd Future have become really popular and big and made these hit songs, and I feel like Earl, he's definitely a student of the MF Dooms of the world, you know? And I think that's clear on Doris. So to see him just sort of further explore that space with each subsequent record, I think Earl is one of the most honest artists in hip-hop. But some rap songs is absolutely his best work. I love this record so much. An absolute masterwork. It's very sneakily a masterpiece. You know, every track just whizzes by so quickly. You don't really have the time to process it. It took a while for me to really appreciate just how masterful this record is. When songs are short, maybe it's like a psychological thing. You sort of see them as more disposable or just kind of simple. But I really mean it when I say every single individual one of these tracks, no other hip-hop song sounds like it, but it all works under this collection of tracks. And the fact that it's called Some Rap Songs and this cover art, it's so fascinating. It kind of implies that this sort of slapdash like laziness. Here are some rap songs. You've been waiting for some raps. Because this album came out 3 years after I Don't Like Shit came out. I definitely remember being like, where's Earl? I need new Earl. I can't wait for new Earl. For 3 years, I really want to hear some new Earl. End of 2018, we got this. And it's 24 minutes. Every track's really short, so I'm really like sort of clamoring onto every moment because I've been waiting for this record, and it's such a brief album. 3 years, only this much music, but just with time, there's nothing else like this, and there never will be anything else like this. Nowhere to Go was a really good single choice, even though it's very hard to sell any of this as a single. But the lyrics on Nowhere to Go are so direct. Like, I think I spent most of my life depressed, only thing on my mind was death. Didn't know if my time was next. Like, the lyrics on the record are less about, I think, exploring these feelings. Actually, the rest of the album, the music, the sequencing, the assembly of the whole body of work, that I think is where Earl manages to successfully explore these feelings and make you really tangibly feel it. Red Water, I think, is an interesting one too. It uses repetition really well. It's just like a few lines that get repeated over and over again. It feels like a really broken headspace is being presented, and it's just looping for 1 minute 44. Maybe as a way of suggesting that when you're in this state of mind, you end up kind of repeating the same things in your head, like, what if I did this, what if I did that, becoming numb to the idea of something as a kind of coping mechanism, you know? Playing Possum is a particularly powerful song too. It's not even really a song, it's more so just like a collection of like samples, like a collage of recordings or something. Again, it sort of sounds like Earl stuck in a moment, like he's just replaying something in his head a bunch of times. The end is a very hopeful finish. It's like a 1 minute long instrumental that sounds like victorious, like a success. To get this at the end feels like I made it, I pushed through all of that. He was lucky enough to make it to that other side, and I think he's sort of ending the record on like a, you know, I did it, so can you kind of energy, and it ends up being a really emotive and powerful record for me. Shattered Dreams, I think, is still my favorite song on here. It's close though. The Mint, December 24, Eclipse, I really like Eclipse. Veins and Azakar's incredible too. It's a tough one, man. Even Cold Summers, despite its brevity, feels like such an important moment on the record. I just think this thing is it's just amazing to me. But it's definitely one to where its greatness will not be very evident on a first listen. You do need to really live with this one, I think. As someone who's been pretty like closely attentive to hip hop for the better part of his adolescent, adult, teenage life, you know, just the last 10-15 years, Some Rap Songs does really shine as like a one-of-one record. I love it. It's amazing. Earl Sweatshirt ranking. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Thank you for watching. Bye!